The night was dark on the strange alien planet. The sky had two moons, both pale and cold. Wind moved like a whisper through the rocks and strange lights blinked in the distance. The ground was dry and cracked, filled with old bones of creatures that once lived there. Captain Ryan Holt walked alone, his boots crunching on the dusty ground. His spacesuit was half broken, and his helmet light flickered weakly. He had been stranded for 5 long days. His ship had crashed during a storm, and now all he had was a small bag, a broken radio, and the will to survive. Every night he searched for shelter or something that could help him fix his ship. But that night something different happened. A sound came from far away, soft, sad, and full of pain. It was not the wind. It was a cry that almost sounded human. Ryan stopped walking. His heart began to beat fast. What was that? He whispered to himself. He turned off his helmet light and listened carefully. The sound came again, a soft voice, weak and trembling. It echoed through the rocks like a ghostly song. He followed the sound step by step through the cliffs until he saw it, a faint green glow shining from a cave. Ryan hesitated. Could it be another survivor? He thought. Or maybe some kind of alien trap. He had heard stories about planets like this, empty worlds where strange beings hid in the shadows. Still, something inside him told him to go. He entered the cave slowly, holding a small metal stick that once was part of his ship's antenna, now his only weapon. The air inside was warm and smelled strange, like burned metal mixed with flowers. Then he saw her. A figure sat in the corner of the cave, half hidden in the dark. She was not human. Her skin was pale silver, shining softly in the dim light. Her hair was long and thin like threads of light. Her eyes, large and filled with tears, looked straight at him. Beside her were 2 glowing eggs, each giving off a gentle blue light. Ryan froze. He wanted to run, but something stopped him. The woman tried to move, but fell weakly to the floor. Her voice came out broken and soft, as if she had learned English from a dream. "Please, help my children," she said. Ryan's mouth went dry. He took a step closer. "Who are you?" he asked. The alien woman shook her head slowly. "No time, they will come. They will find us." Before Ryan could ask what she meant, he heard it, a low metallic hum from outside. The cave trembled. Then came the sound of machines, flying drones moving through the night. The alien woman gasped and pulled the eggs close to her chest. "Hide," she whispered, her voice full of fear. Ryan's instincts took over. He turned off his helmet light and moved deeper into the cave. The hum grew louder. Bright red lights flashed across the cave entrance as the drones scanned the area. Ryan held his breath. He could hear the machines speaking in a strange robotic language. One of them came close, its red light crawling across the rock wall. If it came any closer, it would find them. The alien woman reached out with a shaking hand and touched Ryan's arm. Her skin was warm and smooth, glowing faintly under his sleeve. She whispered, "If they find us, they will kill the children. Please, help me." Ryan looked into her eyes, filled with fear, pain, and something deeper. Hope. For a moment he forgot she wasn't human. She was a mother trying to protect her children. He nodded silently. "Stay quiet," he whispered. He picked up a loose rock and threw it toward another tunnel opening. The sound echoed loudly. The drones turned at once and followed the noise, their lights sweeping away from the cave entrance. Ryan and the alien woman waited until the sound of the drones faded into the distance. The air grew still again. Finally, Ryan spoke softly. "They're gone." The alien woman let out a deep breath and looked at him. "You saved us," she said weakly. Ryan knelt beside her. "You're injured," he said, seeing a deep wound on her shoulder. Her blood was a faint silver color. "You need help," she smiled faintly. "No, just rest. You..." "Human?" he nodded. "Yes, Captain Ryan Holt, explorer from Earth." Her eyes softened. "Human," she whispered. "Long time since I see one." Ryan frowned. "You've seen humans before?" But before she could answer, her head dropped. She had fainted. Ryan looked at the 2 glowing eggs beside her. They pulsed softly as if alive. He could feel a strange warmth coming from them. Not dangerous, but peaceful. He sat beside her, guarding the entrance of the cave, his weapon ready. Outside, the night was silent again. The 2 moons shone on the rocky ground. But far in the distance, red lights began to rise in the sky, hundreds of them. Ryan whispered to himself, "What did I just get myself into?" And somewhere deep in the cave, one of the eggs moved, a tiny crack forming along its side. The cave was quiet, but the air felt heavy. The only light came from the 2 glowing eggs beside the alien woman. Captain Ryan Holt sat near the entrance, his tired eyes watching the storm outside fade into silence. His heart still raced from the danger. He looked back at the strange woman lying on the rocky floor. Her silver skin shimmered faintly under the blue glow of the eggs. She was breathing slowly, her chest rising weakly. Ryan took a small metal flask from his bag and placed a drop of water near her lips. "Come on, don't die on me now," he murmured. The woman's eyes slowly opened. They were large, silver, and full of pain. She tried to speak but coughed instead. Ryan helped her sit up carefully. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. "What are those machines out there?" Her voice was soft and broken. "My name, Alira," she said. "They are my people. They hunt me." Ryan frowned. "Your own people?" She nodded weakly. "Yes, I was one of them. A soldier. But I refused their order. They told me to destroy your kind, humans. I couldn't." Ryan's chest tightened. "So they abandoned you?" Alira looked at the eggs beside her and whispered, "They called me a traitor. I ran, I hid here. My children are the last of me." Ryan looked at the eggs again. They pulsed softly like tiny hearts beating inside. "They're still alive in there," he said. Alira nodded. "Not for long. Soon they will hatch. But they need warmth, care, and protection. I am weak. I cannot fight anymore." Ryan stared at her, speechless. He had come to this world searching for rare minerals. Now he was hearing a story that sounded like a nightmare. A mother hiding from her own race, waiting to die in a cave. Outside, thunder rolled again. The red lights in the sky flashed in the distance. The enemy was still searching. Alira touched the cracked wall and whispered something in her language. The rock shimmered and shifted, closing the cave entrance with a thin energy field. "Now they can't find us," she said softly. Ryan's eyes widened. "How did you do that?" She gave a faint smile. "Old power. Old tech from my world. Won't last long." He helped her lean back against the wall. She looked tired. Too tired for someone trying to protect 2 unborn children. "You need rest," Ryan said. She shook her head. "No time for rest. You must understand, human. If they find me, they will not stop. They want the children. They fear what they might become." Ryan frowned. "Why? What's special about them?" Her gaze grew distant. "They are mixed. Not full-blood like others. Their father was human." Ryan froze. "A human?" Alira nodded slowly. "Long ago your people came to my world. One of them was kind to me, but he died before he could see our children. I was taken away, forced to serve the army. I saved these 2 eggs and escaped." Her voice cracked. "I came here to protect them, to give them a chance." Ryan was silent for a long moment. He felt a strange pull inside his chest, a mix of sorrow and something else, something human. "You've been hiding all this time." "Alone," he said softly. Alira smiled weakly. "Not alone anymore." Her eyes met his. "You help me? Why?" Ryan looked at her for a moment, unsure what to say. "Because you asked for help," he said finally. "And because I couldn't just walk away." For a brief second, a gentle warmth passed between them. The storm outside faded to silence. The air felt calm, like the world itself was holding its breath. Then a soft crack broke the quiet. Ryan turned. One of the eggs was shaking gently. A thin line appeared along its surface and a crack that glowed bright blue. Alira gasped. "It's time." Ryan stepped closer, watching in wonder. The egg pulsed with light and a tiny claw poked through the shell. Slowly, the creature inside began to emerge, small, blue, and glowing softly. It had round eyes and tiny fingers that reached toward the air. Alira's face lit up with tears. "My son," she whispered. Ryan felt his heart tighten. The small creature looked at him, curious, innocent. Its eyes shone like stars. But before the moment could settle, a deep hum shook the cave again. Ryan's hand went to his weapon. "They're back," he said. Alira's expression changed to fear. "They found the signal. The hatching energy, and it's too strong." Ryan glanced around. There was no way out through the entrance when it was sealed. "We have to move," he said quickly. There must be another tunnel. Illyra nodded weakly and pointed deeper into the darkness. Old passage. Follow the light. Ryan picked up the small alien child and handed it gently to her. Let's go, he said. As they moved through the narrow tunnel, the blue glow lit the stone walls around them. The air grew colder, the ground uneven. Behind them, the hum of the drones grew louder. Illyra whispered softly to her baby, and the child made a soft cooing sound that echoed like music. Ryan looked back one last time and saw red lights flashing at the cave entrance. The enemy had arrived. He gritted his teeth and said quietly, "Hang on. I'm not letting them take you." And as they disappeared into the dark passage, the second egg began to tremble. The tunnel was cold and narrow. The air smelled of stone and dust. Ryan Holt moved carefully, his helmet light flickering against the walls. Behind him, Illyra walked slowly, holding the small glowing baby close to her chest. The soft blue light from the newborn's body made the dark cave look almost peaceful. They had been walking for hours. The sound of the flying drones had faded, but Ryan knew they were not safe yet. The machines would keep searching. "Are you sure this tunnel leads somewhere?" he asked quietly. Illyra nodded weakly. "Yes. Long ago, my people built hidden paths under the surface. We used them for escape." Ryan sighed. "Escape? Seems like we're both good at that lately." Illyra gave a small smile. It was the first time he had seen her smile since the night they met. "Humans always run," she said softly, "but they never give up." Her words made him pause. He wanted to argue, but she was right. Even stranded, hurt, and alone, he was still moving forward. The baby made a soft sound, a tiny hum that echoed sweetly through the stone. Illyra looked down and whispered, something in her language, a lullaby that sounded like light rain. The baby's glow dimmed as it fell asleep in her arms. Ryan watched her carefully. She looked tired, weaker than before. "You need rest," he said. "Not yet," she replied. "We must reach the heart of the tunnels. There is warmth there." "The second egg needs it." Ryan looked at the bag slung over his shoulder. Inside, the second egg pulsed faintly with red and blue light. It was changing, faster than before. He felt the heat through the bag and shivered. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the tunnel. Dust fell from above. Ryan froze. "What was that?" Illyra's eyes widened. "Cave shift, move!" They ran as the ground trembled. Rocks cracked and fell behind them. The tunnel began to collapse. Ryan grabbed Illyra's arm and pulled her forward. "Go! Don't stop!" They reached an opening just before the tunnel caved in. Ryan fell to his knees, breathing hard. Illyra held the baby tight, her face pale. They had entered a wide chamber. It was beautiful, walls covered with glowing crystals that shined like stars. A small stream of silver water ran through the center, warm and steaming. Illyra sighed in relief. "We are safe. For now." Ryan sat down beside the stream and removed his helmet. The air here was clean, almost sweet. "Looks like a secret paradise," he said quietly. Illyra knelt beside him and placed the baby near the warm water. "This place keeps life alive," she said softly. "My people called it the heart of the cave. It hides those who are lost." Ryan looked at her. "That's exactly what we are. Lost." She smiled faintly. "Maybe not. Sometimes being lost helps you find what matters." Her words sank deep into his mind. For the first time since the crash, Ryan felt something different. Not fear, not loneliness, but a strange calm. Then the second egg began to glow brighter. Illyra turned quickly. "It's happening," she said, her voice filled with both joy and worry. Ryan opened the bag carefully and took out the egg. It was hot now, covered in thin cracks. Blue light and red light mixed inside like lightning under glass. The shell broke with a soft snap. A small hand reached out, but unlike the first baby, this one's skin was darker, its eyes red instead of blue. It let out a sharp cry that echoed through the chamber, shaking the crystals on the walls. Ryan stepped back. "What's wrong with it?" Elira's eyes filled with fear. The second one carries the war inside. What does that mean? She looked at the red-eyed child sadly. My people changed long ago. They made our children strong, but cold. They built hate into their blood. This one carries that blood. Ryan watched as the small creature moved, its little claws scratching the stone. The baby's eyes glowed like fire. Yet when it saw Elira, it crawled into her arms, making a small, soft sound. He's dangerous, Ryan whispered. But he knows you're his mother. Tears glimmered in Elira's eyes. Yes. Maybe love can change what blood cannot. She looked at Ryan. Help me raise them, human. They need a protector, someone who believes in kindness. Ryan hesitated. Me? Yes. You are not just human. You are hope, she said. Your heart fights even when your body breaks. Before he could answer, the ground shook again, not from a cave collapse this time, but from outside. The crystals flickered. The warm water rippled. Ryan grabbed his helmet. They found us again, he said. Your people. Elira held both babies close. No, something else. Something worse. A deep mechanical roar echoed through the tunnels. The sound was like thunder mixed with metal. Ryan aimed his rifle toward the dark tunnel. Whatever it is, he said, it's not touching them. Elira looked at him with quiet strength. Then fight beside me, human. For them. He nodded. The blue and red lights from the two alien children reflected on his face. One soft like peace, the other sharp like fire. He took a deep breath and whispered, Then let's protect our hope. Far away, the roar grew louder, shaking the ground beneath them. The ground shook again, harder this time. Dust rained down from the ceiling of the crystal chamber. Ryan Holt stood with his rifle raised, his heartbeat echoing in his ears. The air was hot and dry, the kind of heat that came before something terrible. Behind him, Elira held her two children close, one glowing blue with calm light, the other red and restless, its eyes sharp and wild. The strange roar from the tunnel grew louder, mixed with metallic clanks. Then came the sound Ryan feared most. Machines. Elira's voice trembled. They found us. Ryan looked at her. Your people? She shook her head slowly. No. Something older. Something that hunts anything that breathes. Before Ryan could ask more, a beam of red light sliced through the tunnel wall. Sparks flew. A tall machine stepped through the smoke, black metal, long claws, and eyes that glowed like molten fire. Its voice was a cold hiss. Target detected. Terminate organic life. Ryan gritted his teeth. I've heard that tone before, he muttered. Guess your galaxy loves killing as much as mine. He fired his rifle. The bullet struck the metal body, sparking harmlessly. The machine turned toward him, unfazed. Elira placed the blue child in a small crevice of crystal and stepped forward, her silver skin glowing brighter. She lifted her hands and a pulse of energy burst from her palms. The blast hit the robot, throwing it back into the tunnel. But Elira staggered. The effort drained her. Ryan ran to her side. You're burning yourself out. I have no choice, she whispered. They will not stop. The red-eyed child let out a strange sound, a low growl that didn't belong to something so small. Its body began to glow brighter, lines of red energy pulsing across its skin. Ryan stepped back. Elira, what's happening? Her eyes widened with both fear and love. He feels my pain. He wants to protect me. The red light from the child grew so bright that the walls began to shake. The machine roared again, dragging itself back to its feet, when the child screamed. It was not a normal sound. It was like thunder and lightning together. A burst of red energy exploded outward, throwing Ryan and Elira to the ground. When the light faded, the machine was gone, melted into twisted metal. Ryan stared in shock. The small creature had burned through solid steel. Elira crawled toward her child. The baby's body was shaking, its breathing fast and rough. "No, my son," she whispered, tears running down her face. "Don't let the darkness eat you." Ryan looked at her. That power. He's just a baby. If he can do that now. "Yes," she said weakly. "When he grows, he could destroy worlds or save them. It depends on who teaches him." Ryan understood what she meant. She was asking him to be the one to guide them. But before he could speak, more red lights appeared deeper in the tunnel, more machines. "Time to move," he said. He lifted Elira's arm over his shoulder and carried her toward the far end of the chamber. "There must be another way out." Elira pointed to a small passage hidden behind a wall of glowing stones. Ryan kicked the rocks aside and pushed through. The tunnel on the other side was steep and narrow, leading downward into darker ground. The air smelled like smoke and ash. He helped Elira down carefully, the two children held close to her chest. Behind them, the sounds of machines echoed, dozens of them. As they hurried through the passage, Elira's voice was barely a whisper. "My strength is fading. I cannot protect them much longer." Ryan stopped and looked at her. Her eyes were dull now, her silver glow dimming. "You're not dying here," he said firmly. "You've come too far." She smiled faintly. "You don't understand, human. My kind was made for war. When we feel love, it burns us from the inside. I gave my heart to a human once. Now I give my life for my children." Ryan shook his head. "Then let me protect them this time. Let me protect you." Elira looked at him for a long moment, tears shining in her eyes. "Would you really do that?" He nodded. "I will. You have my word." She reached up and touched his face with her glowing hand. "Then you are no longer just a stranger. You are part of us." Before Ryan could answer, the tunnel ahead opened into a vast underground valley. It stretched for miles, filled with ancient ruins and broken ships. He stared in disbelief. This was a city. Elira nodded weakly. "Long ago, my people lived here before war destroyed everything." Ryan looked at the glowing crystals rising from the ground. "Maybe this is where we make our stand." Behind them, the sound of the machines grew closer, louder, faster. Ryan lifted his rifle again. "Then let them come." Elira placed the children beside a broken pillar and stood beside him. Her energy flickered like a dying flame, but her eyes were full of courage. "Together?" she said softly. Ryan gave a small smile. Together. The tunnel behind them exploded in a shower of sparks. The machines poured through, their red lights burning in the dark. Ryan fired. Elira unleashed another blast of silver light. The battle filled the ruins with fire and sound, and as the smoke rose, the red-eyed child watched, its glowing eyes reflecting both the fury of war and the warmth of love. The battle was over. Silence filled the underground ruins, broken only by the crackling sound of metal burning. The air smelled like smoke and dust. Pieces of the destroyed machines lay scattered across the stone floor, glowing faintly as their systems died. Ryan Holt leaned against a fallen pillar, breathing hard. His armor was scratched and blood ran down his arm. The rifle in his hands was hot from firing too many times. But he was alive. Somehow they had survived. He turned and saw Elira sitting near the broken wall holding her children. The blue one slept peacefully in her arms, but the red-eyed child was awake, watching everything in silence. The glow in its eyes had faded now. It looked calm, almost human. Ryan walked over slowly. "You did it," he said softly. Elira shook her head. "We did it." Her voice was weak, but her eyes still had that soft silver light. He looked at her closely. "You're hurt again. I'll heal," she whispered. But Ryan could tell she wouldn't, not this time. Her glow was fading faster now, her skin pale like moonlight before dawn. Ryan crouched beside her. "Don't lie to me," he said. "You're dying, aren't you?" Elira smiled faintly. "My kind doesn't die the way humans do. We become light." Her hand trembled as she touched his shoulder. "But before I fade, I must make sure they live." Ryan looked at the two alien children. "They will. I promise," Elira's eyes softened. Do you mean that, human? He nodded slowly. Yes, you saved my life. The least I can do is save theirs. Elira leaned closer. Not just save them. Raise them. Teach them kindness. Teach them to love, even if the universe forgets how. Ryan hesitated. I'm no father, Elira. I don't even know how to survive on this planet, let alone raise alien kids. She smiled, weak but full of warmth. You already protect them like a father. That is enough. Ryan didn't know what to say. He looked at the children again. The blue one sleeping quietly, the red one staring into the firelight. They were so small, yet something about them felt important. Like they carried both the best and worst of two worlds. He clenched his fists. I'll do it, he said finally. I'll protect them. I'll raise them as if they were my own. Elira's eyes filled with tears. Silvery tears that shimmered as they fell. Then you are their father now, Ryan Holt of Earth. A silence grew between them, gentle, almost peaceful. The firelight flickered against the walls. Somewhere in the distance, water dripped softly from the ceiling. After a while, Elira spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you know what my name means in my language? Ryan shook his head. It means star that falls but never dies. She smiled faintly. Maybe that is what I am doing now. Falling into light but not dying. Ryan swallowed hard. Elira, please don't talk like that. She looked at him with kind eyes. Don't be sad, human. My body will fade, but my light will remain. When you see the stars above, you will know I am watching. Her words cut deep into his heart. He wanted to speak, but his throat felt tight. Then suddenly a faint tremor passed through the ground. The blue child woke and began to cry, a soft musical sound that echoed across the ruins. The red child looked at its brother, then crawled closer and gently touched his face. Ryan and Elira both froze. The red glow in the second child's eyes dimmed, turning a soft purple for a moment. The blue child stopped crying. Elira gasped softly. See? The darkness can learn peace. Ryan smiled a little. Looks like you were right. Elira nodded slowly. Her hand slipped from his shoulder. You will do well, she whispered. You have a brave heart. Ryan caught her hand and held it tightly. You're not alone. I'll stay here. I'll keep your memory alive. Her lips trembled as she whispered. Promise me one more thing. Anything. When they ask where they came from, she said softly. Tell them they were born from love, not war. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. I promise. Elira smiled, a soft, peaceful smile that looked almost human. A faint light began to rise from her body, glowing brighter and brighter until Ryan had to shield his eyes. When the light faded, she was gone. Only the two children remained, resting in a circle of glowing dust. Ryan knelt down, his heart heavy. He touched the spot where she had been and whispered, Goodbye, Elira. Outside, through a hole in the ruined ceiling, a single beam of moonlight fell across the floor. It touched the blue child's hand, then the red one's. Both babies stirred, glowing faintly together, red and blue light mixing into a soft violet hue. Ryan smiled through his tears. Yeah, he whispered. You're both from love, not war. He stood, lifted them carefully into his arms and looked toward the tunnel ahead. The path was dark, but somewhere beyond it was the surface, and a new beginning. He took one last look at the stars above. I'll keep my promise, he said quietly. I'll be your father now. Then he started walking toward the light. Two small lives held close to his chest, one glowing like peace, the other burning like fire, and together, they began their journey into the unknown. Days turned into weeks. The underground world grew quiet again. The once burning ruins had cooled into silence. Ryan Holt built a small shelter from the broken metal and crystal shards. It wasn't much, but it was home, for him and the two alien children. The blue-eyed child, gentle and calm, followed him everywhere. Ryan named him Lumen, for the soft light that came from his skin. The red-eyed one, wild and fierce, he called Pyrrha, for the fire that lived inside his heart. Elira's words never left his mind. Raise them with love, not war. He taught them to speak, to laugh, to listen to the quiet of the caves. He showed them how to find water, how to build a fire, and how to care for each other. For the first time in years, Ryan felt peace. A strange, fragile peace that he had never known even back on Earth. But peace never lasts long on a cursed world. It started one night when Lumen woke up crying. His blue glow flashed rapidly, lighting the cave like a storm. Pyra growled and looked toward the ceiling. Ryan followed their eyes and froze. The ground above them shook. Dust fell like rain. Then came the distant rumble of engines. Ryan whispered, "They found us." He rushed to the edge of the cave and looked through the small hole above. The night sky was filled with red lights, ships, hundreds of them, descending like falling stars. Elira's people had returned. By dawn, the planet's sky burned orange. The enemy had landed, machines and soldiers spreading across the wasteland, searching. Ryan knew it was only a matter of time before they reached the ruins. He gathered what little he had, his broken rifle, a few energy cells, and a small metal box that once powered his ship's beacon. He had saved it in case he ever tried to signal for rescue. Now it had another use. He looked at Lumen and Pyra. They stood side by side, glowing faintly, watching him with wide eyes. "Listen to me," Ryan said softly. "If anything happens to me, you run. Don't stop no matter what. Find a place with light, where the stars shine. That's where your mother is." Lumen's eyes filled with tears. "But, Father, you come too." Ryan smiled sadly. "I'll try, kid. But sometimes a father has to stay behind." Pyra clenched his small fists. "No, I fight." His voice was sharp and fierce. Ryan knelt down and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You'll fight when it's your time, Pyra, but not today. Today you live." He stood and looked at the horizon. The red glow of enemy drones was already creeping toward them. "It's time," he said quietly. The first explosion hit before sunrise. The ground split open, shaking the walls. Ryan ran out into the open, rifle ready. The enemy machines hovered above the ruins. Sleek, black, and deadly, Ryan fired. One fell, then another. But there were too many. Laser beams tore through the air, lighting up the dust. Inside the cave, Lumen held Pyra's hand. The two children trembled, watching the light flashes outside. Ryan shouted through the smoke, "Stay back! Don't come out!" Elira's voice echoed in his memory. "You have a brave heart." He gritted his teeth and charged forward, shooting, dodging, fighting like a man with nothing left to lose. But even courage has limits. His rifle clicked empty. Energy cells burned out. He fell to one knee, breathing hard. The machines circled closer, aiming their weapons, then a roar. A wall of red and blue light burst from the cave. Ryan turned and saw them, Lumen and Pyra, standing side by side. Their small hands glowed like stars. "No," Ryan shouted. "Get back!" But it was too late. The ground erupted as Pyra screamed, his red energy forming a wave of fire that tore through the machines. Lumen followed, sending out a wave of calm blue light that stopped the flames from burning Ryan. Together, their powers collided, red and blue merging into brilliant violet light. The explosion shook the entire valley. When the light faded, the machines were gone, turned to ash and molten steel. The sky was quiet again. Ryan fell to the ground, staring at them. You saved me," he whispered. Pyra ran to him, his small hands shaking. "We fight for you, Father." Lumen smiled softly. Like Mother did. Ryan's throat tightened. He looked at the horizon where the last ship fled into the clouds. "She'd be proud," he said quietly. He gathered the two children in his arms, holding them close. "It's over. We made it." But even as he said the words, he knew the peace would never last. There would always be more enemies, more worlds that feared what these children could become. He looked at them, at their glowing faces, one calm, one fierce, and whispered, "Then I'll keep fighting, no matter how long it takes." Lumen leaned against his chest. "Where will we go now?" Ryan smiled faintly. "Somewhere safe, somewhere with stars." Pyra looked up at the sky and whispered, "Mother is watching." Ryan nodded. "Yeah, she is." The wind blew through the ruins, carrying with it the faint sound of Elira's voice. Soft, distant, and full of peace. "Love made you strong. Now let it guide you." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment and whispered back, "I promise." Then he stood, carrying both children toward the distant light of dawn. The war was over for now, but his mission had just begun. The sun rose quietly over the broken planet. The once red sky had softened to pale gold, washing the ruins in light. The war was gone now. Only silence and wind remained. Ryan Holt stood at the edge of a cliff watching the new dawn spread across the horizon. His armor was cracked, his hands scarred, but his heart felt lighter than it had in years. Beside him stood the two alien children, Lumen and Pyra, both taller now, stronger, their eyes glowing faintly under the morning light. It had been 3 years since the battle. 3 long years of rebuilding, surviving, and learning how to live again. Below the cliff, a small settlement shimmered, simple huts made of old metal and crystal. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. Birds circled the sky. Creatures returned to the land, and for the first time, the planet felt alive again. Ryan took a deep breath. The air was clean, almost sweet. "This world doesn't look like a grave anymore," he said quietly. Lumen smiled softly. "Because you made it home." Ryan turned to him. "No, kid. We did." They walked down the cliff path toward the settlement. Pyra ran ahead, jumping across the rocks, his laughter echoing through the canyon. Lumen followed, calmer, carrying a bundle of glowing stones. Crystals they used for light at night. Ryan smiled as he watched them. Pyra had his fire, his wild heart. Lumen had his calm, his mother's grace. Together they were balance, chaos and peace, light and flame. When they reached the camp, Ryan began his morning routine. He started the small generator made from parts of old machines. Lumen placed the glowing stones inside a metal frame, creating a bright blue fire. Pyra sharpened sticks into spears, pretending to be a warrior. Life had become simple. But peace, Ryan knew, was not forever. Sometimes at night he saw flashes in the sky, ships passing far above, stars that moved too straight to be natural. Maybe explorers? Maybe soldiers. He never told the children. He wanted them to live without fear, at least for a while. Later that day, Ryan sat by the stream that ran through the camp. Lumen and Pyra played nearby, splashing water at each other. He closed his eyes and listened to their laughter. It reminded him of Earth, of children in fields, of peace he thought he'd never feel again. Then a shadow passed over him. He looked up and saw Pyra standing with his small wooden spear. "Father," Pyra said, serious for once, "when can we go beyond the valley?" Ryan leaned back. "Why? Isn't this place enough?" Pyra shook his head. "I dream of stars. I see them every night. They call me." Lumen stepped beside him. "Mother said stars are souls that never die," he said softly. "Maybe she's one of them." Ryan's chest tightened. He looked up at the sky where faint stars shimmered even in daylight. "She is," he said quietly. "She's watching always." Lumen smiled, but Pyra frowned. "Then she wants us to come find her." Ryan sighed. "Someday. But not yet." "You're not ready." Pyra looked down. "You always say that." Ryan reached out and ruffled his hair. "Because it's true." That night the wind was warm and the sky clear. The 3 of them sat by the fire eating dried roots and fruit. Ryan watched the flames dance, lost in thought. He remembered Alira's final words. Tell them they were born from love. Not war. He looked at his sons, one blue, one red, their lights flickering gently in the dark. They were proof that love could survive even in a universe filled with hate. "Do you know why I named you Lumen and Pyra?" he asked. The boys looked up. "Lumen means light," Ryan said, "because you bring peace wherever you go. Pyra means flame, because you burn with life, with fire." Pyra grinned. "So I'm the strong one," Lumen smiled. "And I'm the calm one." Ryan laughed softly. "Exactly. But remember, light and fire need each other. Without one, the other fades." The 2 nodded seriously, their glowing faces reflecting in the firelight. Then Lumen asked, "Father, when you're gone, what will happen to us?" Ryan looked into the flames for a long moment. The question pierced his heart. "When I'm gone," he said slowly, "you'll have each other. That's enough." Pyra frowned. "You're not allowed to leave." Ryan smiled sadly. "No one stays forever, Pyra, but love does. That's the trick of being human." The night grew quiet. The stars above seemed brighter than ever, millions of them twinkling like silver eyes. One star in the east glowed brighter than the rest. Ryan stared at it, his chest tight. "That one," he said softly, pointing. "That's her," Lumen whispered. "Mother." The boys sat closer to him, and together they watched the sky. A soft wind brushed through the camp. Ryan swore he could hear her voice, faint but clear. "You kept your promise," he smiled. "Yeah," he whispered. "We did." As dawn broke again, Ryan stood at the edge of the valley with Lumen and Pyra beside him. The world was waking up. New creatures, new light, new hope. Ryan placed a hand on each of their shoulders. "This is your world now," he said quietly. "Build it better than we did." They both nodded, their eyes glowing softly, and as the first rays of sunlight touched their faces, the three of them stood together, human and alien, father and sons, watching the new dawn rise over a world reborn. For the first time, Ryan didn't feel alone. He felt part of something larger, something worth protecting, because in the end it wasn't war that changed the universe. It was love.